Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the BluScreen podcast for the date of December 8th, 2016. For this fifth episode, I am joined once again by the train wreck himself, Derek.
Yeah, that's me.
How are you doing, Derek?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, you're well rested?
Well rested, well caffeinated.
Well caffeinated as well?
Well caffeinated.
All right, is the coffee working this time?
I'm not even having coffee. I'm having iced tea.
Oh.
Nestea.
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 Is that, wait, so that's like Nestle iced tea?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a clever name. Like, I couldn't have thought of it.
Yeah, kind of like Nesquik.
Yeah.
Let's put Nest at the beginning of everything. I think Nintendo should sue them.
Yeah, like the Nest Nintendo.
Yeah, like seriously, what's up with that?
The Nestendo.
It's not really a thing. Anyways, okay. So let's go ahead and get into things because we're already off to our typical stupid start.
Yeah.
All right. Before we go ahead and get the ball rolling, I want to go ahead and say that we're going to be doing a few, we'll say, small format changes to the show. So we're going to try to fit things into, we'll say, smaller time frames a little bit here, because I feel like the show is getting a little out of control, all over the place. We lost focus partway through, sort of thing. So
yeah,
try to keep things concise.
I like concise,
or as concise as we can be.
I can't even listen to myself for 2 hours. I don't expect anyone else to.
Yes, so we're doing this for you. We're giving you less so that you can maintain your sanity. First thing I wanted to bring up, I noticed a little, we'll say, news article on a rumor. So, take it with a grain of salt. But I guess it's kind of got a little bit of credibility. There was an article on some site, which name I can't remember. Professionalism. Yes, I should have had that name. Anyway, saying that From Software has apparently Dark Souls 3 working on the Nintendo Switch, and they are considering a trilogy re-release.
That would be pretty awesome, actually.
I agree. If that turns out to be true, then I would be ecstatic. I'd be like, that's amazing. Because when they announced the Switch, they put out that picture with all the list of all the different publishers and developers that were on board with it, right?
Yeah.
I went back and I looked, and From Software is on that list.
Ooh.
So that lends credibility to the rumor.
Maybe I should hold off playing it on the PS3 then.
Yeah, I'm kind of sitting there going, I've been having fun with Dark Souls, but I kind of like, I might want to do it for the channel, but I'm like, oh man, if they released them all on the Switch, that's probably going to be my platform of choice. So, yeah, that's pretty awesome, and it gives me, we'll say, some hope for seeing some other, other titles go to the Switch. Because as a Nintendo fan, it's been years since we've had any third-party support. So it's kind of a weird thought to think.
I don't know why everyone dropped out of the Wii U. Like, it looked like it was going to be a great system. It had cool hardware. Like, sure, it's not the most powerful thing on Earth, but everyone just kind of ran away. I don't know why.
I think it was there was a mixture. Like, one, I don't think it confused many core gamers, but we'll say the mass audience saw Wii U and they're like, oh, it's just something for the Wii.
Yeah.
They didn't equate it as being a whole new console, and mix that with the fact that other big developers were all like, yeah, we're gonna support the Wii U with year-old ports. It's like nobody wants those games. And they're inferior too, so it was a combination of things. But things are looking good for the Switch, and I'm excited to see some third-party support because it's been so long. Like I'm actually going, wait, I might not need a second platform. I might be able to just get everything on the Switch, which is exciting for me.
It is really exciting.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get things started off. Last show we were talking about Dark Souls.
Yeah,
and one thing I loved about Dark Souls was the setting. And I don't know if you know me well. I don't know many people.
I've never met you in my life.
No, it's a total stranger here. Yes.
Yeah.
People who know me well will know that I have a thing for gothic, dark and gothic. So
werewolves are gothic.
Werewolves are gothic. Yes, but you know what's even more gothic?
Vampires.
Yeah, I guess maybe probably a little bit more. Yeah, because they got a little more of that Victorian. Anyways, so I love gothic things. Gothic music, stuff like that. But you know what? I was playing Dark Souls and I was going, you know what? I want something gothic, but in dark. But I want to. I wanted to go the other way. Rather than feeling helpless, I was like, I want to have a gothic power fantasy. So I decided, you know what? I think it was about time. I was really in the mood. I'm gonna play Diablo 3.
Why don't you just play Dark Souls with Nightwish playing in the background?
With Nightwish, that is probably the most gothic thing. I ran out of eyeliner, man. So anyways, Diablo is a series that I have loved for ages. I remember we grew up in a weird house. It's kind of conservative yet progressive. It was hypocritical, basically. It was
very hypocritical.
Basically, Diablo was definitely not allowed. However, I don't remember if it was on a PC Gamer or some CD. I did manage at one point to get a demo for the original Diablo.
Oh.
And basically, if I remember correctly, the demo played straight up to the Butcher, and I think that's as far as it went. And if you're not familiar with Diablo, I'll explain a bit about the first game because it kind of carries over to the future games, the sequels. They're kind of the thing. It's kind of an isometric 3/4 view action RPG. And I found the first game especially, and then the second game, they had kind of almost, it was kind of like a progression or an evolution of the roguelike.
I could see that.
Randomized dungeons, randomized worlds, randomized loot.
Items, yeah.
Curses and different traps and stuff like that within the dungeons. It felt like an action roguelike. Especially in the first game, which I'm talking about here. I'll get to it in a second. In the first game, if you died, there was no respawning back at town. You had your one save game. Now, it wasn't quite as bad as like in Diablo 2, where you got hardcore mode, where you could literally have one life and then your character's basically dead, deleted, kind of gone. But anyways, I had this demo and I played the crap out of it, and for some reason, parents didn't say anything. The demo, it's just a demo, it's okay.
What?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
What?
They're like, it didn't look too bad. And I guess because the demo didn't have all the scenes from hell, where there was actually some really graphic stuff later on.
Yeah, I bet. But
so I played the heck out of that, and it wasn't until I was like much, much older. Actually, I think you bought me my first copy of Diablo. You got it like a yard sale or something. You're like, hey, man, here, have Diablo. I heard you like it.
Did I?
Yeah, you got me my first copy of Diablo.
I don't even remember that.
And now this was back in, actually, this was like in 2000. Diablo 2 was already out.
Yeah.
All my friends were playing Diablo 2, and I couldn't play it, so I was busy playing the demo of number 1, and I finally got the first copy of number 1 from you. I do remember that.
Wow.
And
I don't.
No?
No, not at all. I'm like, wow.
So eventually I would get Diablo 2, but most of my Diablo experience was actually with number 1. So when Blizzard initially announced that they were coming up with a Diablo 3, I was like, yes. I love this setting of like demons, and there's, angels, and this whole larger than life, huge, battle sort of thing going on. And I was like, yes. And then they said online only requirement.
I remember this. I think that's why I never played the game.
I said, nope, not touching it.
Nope.
And then if I remember correctly, a little bit later, they come out and they're like, oh yeah, PS3, Diablo 3, no online. And I was like, what?
Yeah. So they basically screwed over the PC people and treated us like criminals.
Yeah, and I think it was because of that real money auction house, because they wanted people to put items up for sale and then have people buy them.
With real money.
And we criticize them for that, but Valve does it all the time with their games.
That is also true.
But then again, Valve tends to keep things cosmetic.
Yeah.
They weren't paying to win kind of thing, yeah.
That is true. Although there is a recent thing with the Counter-Strike that's pretty broken with... Yeah.
Maybe we can talk about that later. It actually kind of fits in a bit with the topic we're going to be talking about later in the show.
Okay. It is an interesting thing.
Yeah. So anyways, I ended up getting my hands on the PS3 version of Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls. So that's Diablo 3 with the expansion pack. And I've had a blast with it, actually. I think it plays amazingly. Like in the old Diablo games, you basically had 2 mouse buttons. The whole game was played with a mouse. So obviously I'm playing with a controller. Things are a little bit different, but from what I understand, even the PC version, it plays differently as well. You basically have 5 abilities, sort of, that are on a... Think of it like a MOBA. It's like League of Legends.
Oh, yeah, okay.
League of Legends, Dota, but with the enemy count of like Serious Sam. So take Dota and give it the Serious Sam treatment, and you've got Diablo 3.
Take Dota and make it a good game.
There you go.
There we go. Sorry.
Please don't hate us. Please don't hate us.
What? Dota's terrible. You can send me hate mail at the address we'll give you at the end.
So anyways, so I was playing the crap out of that, but something felt off. Like, the game plays amazingly. I think it actually is the best playing game. It's probably my favorite. I'm going to say it's probably my favorite in the series.
Oh, really?
Yes, it actually plays really well. And I like the console controls because they actually added a dodge roll, which adds that active element to, like, say, boss fights and stuff. So,
yeah, I think more RPGs need that, to be honest. More skill than just numbers.
Yeah, well, like, I do like the numbers because I do like the idea of, having a character sheet and stuff.
Of course.
And some of that has been dumbed down in this. Like, it is we'll say, a much more simplified game. Like, yeah, there's a lot less management. They've removed stuff like keys. In Diablo 2, you'd find keys which you would use to open and unlock chests and stuff. They have dumbed down things, but they've also made the core gameplay mechanics, the stuff you're doing constantly, very engaging.
You know what I think it's kind of like?
What?
You give a handyman a screwdriver
Okay.
or a wrench, and he could use those to do whatever he wants. He's skilled with those. He has those tools. They make his job way easier, and that's kind of like leveling up. You give a complete moron those same tools, and they'll break whatever they're trying to fix. And that's like that's a person with a high level character with no skill.
Okay.
Yeah. You see now, it's the stupidest analogy I ever thought.
Yeah, I was like, maybe change it to be like somebody who doesn't know what they're doing with power tools.
Yeah, okay.
And then somebody who does know what they're doing with a simple screwdriver and a wrench or something like that.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I was playing through the game, and honestly, I found it too easy at the start because I was playing a Crusader, so which I understand has very good survivability. In fact, there's a passive skill called Indestructible that whenever you run out of health, it automatically bumps you up to I think 35% health. And then makes it so that every hit you do regenerates health for the next 5 seconds, and it's only got a 1 minute cooldown. So,
yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
A little bit overpowered.
Well, you get it a little bit later, but anyways, the game has from the start. Now, a note: the PS3 and the Xbox 360 versions are no longer supported, so it is playing an older version of the game.
Okay.
PC and the current generation consoles are running on 2.4, and I'm on 2.0. So there's probably there might be some differences if you decide to go ahead and play the game, but right from the start you only get 3 difficulty levels: normal, hard, and expert. And I played through it on expert up until the end of Act 4, and then it unlocked the next difficulty, master. So I switched over to that immediately, and then I just rolled through the game. I actually kind of wish I made a hardcore character.
How many times did you die?
0.
You actually died 0 times.
I played through the entire game from Act 1 to Act 5 without dying.
First time. That's ridiculous.
On the highest difficulty setting.
That's ridiculous.
But now, I've talked about the game here, but I feel like the points I want to mention, because I want to keep things a little bit shorter, right? We want to keep things concise. I'm going to talk about my gripes. First of all, gameplay-wise, it's fun. The skills, there's different ways to customize your skills, and it's not like Diablo 2 where you give points, and then you're like, oh crap, I want to take those back, and then you're kind of locked into that. This one here, it's set up in such a way that you can sort of customize your skills and abilities, and play around with them, and find what works for you.
Okay.
I want to talk about the gripes, which is also kind of a good thing in a way. Basically, when you're leveling up, when you're playing the game, it has a bit of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion syndrome.
Oh.
Where the world scales with you.
No.
So.
No.
Yes. So,
no.
And people are going, well, what's wrong with that? You're challenged the whole way. And my problem with this comes from, I level up, my stats go up, and so do the monsters. But my equipment doesn't. So whenever I level up, I technically become weaker relative to the enemies.
Yeah, that's...
So, that's it. And you know what? Despite that, the game was still too easy.
Okay, I guess it's not so bad then. I guess it kind of does add an extra challenge of not grinding an area too much. Maybe it penalizes you for grinding a spot for too long.
I get in a way, because even then the enemies are still dropping loot that is equivalent to their level.
Okay, well, so it's not that bad then.
but it's still randomized. So sometimes you don't always get that upgrade right away. And there's sort of a gap. I noticed when I hit level 50, mid 50s up to 60, and mid 50s and then 60 up is where I started to get these gaps where my gear was starting to get outdated because nothing good was dropping. And that's when the game actually started to become challenging. And then finally, when I hit level 70, which is the level cap in the expansion, then I was like, okay, now I just need to, now I can pick my difficulty level and just play through this. So it's like they focused on the end game. They focused on what you would do once you hit max level. After that, though, like that the leveling up process was boring. I'm just gonna say it. It was kind of fun to play around with the character. Like you still felt like I'm slaughtering the minions of hell. It was great. But the real fun starts when you hit the end game, which is a little bit disappointing. But they did want. Oh, go ahead.
You know, that's not too bad because I've played these RPGs before and I would hit max level and then it'd be like, okay, what do I do now?
Yeah. And, well, I actually think they handled it well because the reason why they made it so that it scaled with you was that way there, if you want to go ahead and play the game or grind wherever you want, you can because now you're going back to Act 1 and everything's your level. And it's dropping the same level of loot.
And so you don't just plow through everything. Okay, that kind of works.
You're not just playing the same area over and over again going, oh, I want the best loot. So I see what they were doing. It makes the level up process a little bit, like you really don't feel like you're making too much progress. But at the same time, ultimately, I feel like it's good for the end game. Now, another thing they did that I like is because a lot of the end game is about getting gear, is they added a Paragon level system, which is an account leveling system. After your max level, you gain experience towards your Paragon levels.
Okay.
Which give you, each Paragon level gives you a minute little tiny bonus that you can assign. So like fractions of a percent. So even though you're at max level, you're still kind of making progress. Now they're not like huge bonuses, but over time they can accumulate it. Think of it kind of like, didn't League of Legends have something where you could have like little rune things to slightly increase your stuff?
I don't know. I was too busy being yelled at by my teammates the entire time.
But yeah, it has something like that. So you always feel like you're making progress, even if you're at the level cap. And these levels, these Paragon levels, you can apply these bonuses to your future characters as well. So all your other characters have access to these Paragon levels and bonuses. So you always feel like you're making progress no matter what you're doing. Even if you're not finding these items that you're farming for, you still feel like you're making progress. And doesn't feel like lost time. You know, you're grinding, oh, I didn't find anything. Well, that was an hour wasted. You're at least like, well, I got a Paragon level out of it. So I got a little bit more, you know, I got 5 more points of strength or something.
Oh, wow. That much, eh? So it's not like Supermine or like plus 0.03% to this.
Well, actually, most of the other bonuses, because it doesn't let you put all the points into one category all the time. Okay. It has like a rotational thing. So every 4 levels, you can put maybe points into strength.
Okay.
Some of the others are like 0.2%, like movement speed increase, stuff like that. So it's not huge, but over time I could see them adding up. Okay. So yeah, it was fun. It's a flawed game. I like it better than any of the other games, but I would not say it is a better game than the other games in the series. It's a very different beast. It's very different, while still being. It's a good game, but if you like Diablo 1 and 2, you might be put off a bit by the gameplay because it is very different in the way it plays.
Wasn't there another thing you had to complain about, like the actual aesthetic of the game?
Yes, actually. Thanks for bringing that up. See, I wanted a Gothic game.
Yeah.
And I said something was off. Well,
yeah.
It's I don't know if it's the appearance or the graphics or the fact that, from what I understand, actually the original creator actually from Diablo 1 and 2 actually left and went and did Torchlight, I think it was.
Okay.
So, like, I guess the main guy that was there, but I'm not going to go ahead and fault that. What I'm going to go ahead and say, though, is it felt like a Gothic sort of setting fused with a Michael Bay film. The story. And that's something I don't normally complain about, but and I know I'm running out of time here for my segment, so I'll speed this up a little bit. The story itself is not necessarily what was bad. It's the storytelling.
Okay.
And actually, I'm going to go ahead. There'll be some minor spoilers here for the. Well, actually, there's going to be some major spoilers for the first act. I'm not going to spoil more than that, but actually, I might not even spoil anything. But I'll say that just for whatever.
So stop listening until he says it.
Yes.
We won't tell you when, but
come back at a random point and hope you don't get spoiled. So the storytelling is awful. Everyone has to give this huge exposition like, I'm Skeletor, the Lord of Skeletons. You're all gonna die because I want revenge for blah, 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 blah.
And I want my paycheck for voice acting.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Skeleton King, yes. Stuff like that, or like they introduce this new character called Leia, and it's Deckard Cain's niece. And she is a total anime girl. I find in her mannerisms. It's like, apparently, this takes place 20 years after the events of Diablo 2.
Okay.
And she's always going on like, Uncle Deckard, like, get over it. Like, oh, you and your silly stories about demons and stuff. Oh. So it's either the games have done a really poor job at, we'll say, conveying to us what life on Sanctuary is when, hell isn't trying to invade.
Yeah.
Or people just don't talk about things, or she's kind of really, really stubborn. Like, oh, everybody seems to say that 20 years ago, like, Satan came up and tried to kill everyone. They're so silly.
Nobody did that. Who's Satan?
Yeah. So there's this terrible exposition. Everyone tells you their motives, tells you who they are, what they're known for. It's like, why don't you just hand a resume? You're like, hi, I'm the Lord of Evil here.
I would like a job.
But no, they go even further than this. Like,
oh boy.
There's this witch, and she's like bright, colorful, and butterfly. And that can work. We've seen in Bayonetta. There's that butterfly demon that just looks scary. This one here doesn't. And she uses her butterfly powers to kill Deckard Cain. Stay a while and listen. That guy.
Oh.
The iconic identifying guy of the Diablo series. In the previous games, he'd be the one who would be like, he's the big expert who's like, the lore says that so-and-so is some bad person because of this. You didn't need exposition. The villains let their actions speak for themselves, and you had to consult someone who knew the lore.
Yeah.
In this game here, no. She kills him with butterflies. She shoots butterflies at him, and he's like, ah! And then Leia goes all freaking Gohan, Uncle! And goes, like, causes this big explosion, which kills some of the witch's minions, and then she passes out. And then the witch goes, oh, you win this round, and then takes off.
What?
I'm like, holy crap, it's like anime meets Michael Bay.
Okay, I was thinking of giving the game a chance. No. I just listening to it is cringe.
And then
I can't. I just can't. I'm done.
And then later on, you've got there's one of the primevals. He's invading Sanctuary. His armies are coming out, and you're in this keep. It's very Lord of the Rings, where they're holed up in the fortress, and they're like, the enemy catapults are gonna blah blah blah. You need to take them out. So you run out, you destroy the catapults, and then he appears in a vision and sort of taunts you, be like, I didn't need those catapults anyways. As we speak, my legions are coming into your crypt or your keep. And then you're like, okay, well, we gotta go kill those guys. So you go down, kill those guys, seal up the hole in the keep. And then he's like, that's all right. I didn't need those guys coming through the hole anyway. You're still gonna die. And then you're like, okay, well, let's go fight some guy on the battlefield. You kill them too. He's like, your fighting is useless. I didn't need that anyways. You're still all gonna die. Then you finally get to him, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you. And then you run up and you're like, dead, because you're amazing and the game's too easy.
I'm just expecting the guy to go, it's just a flesh wound.
No, he's as he's dying. You're not gonna win. The Legions of Hell are still gonna get you. And you're like, what? Like, I'm obviously exaggerating things a little bit, but the storytelling is honestly, I'm like, this might have worked.
I've heard my roommates complain about the same thing. I thought they were over exaggerating too. It must be true.
Yeah, or in one of the acts, it's like, hi, I'm really a kid emperor who's being manipulated by demons. I want to help you. I'm totally not Belial. Okay? And this character keeps showing up throughout the act, helping you, quotation marks, and yes, you should trust me for this because this reason. And then it goes on and goes on and goes on. And then at the very end, he's like, I'm Belial. And it's so ridiculous. My character, the character you're playing, actually goes, yeah, I know. You're like, oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Let's get this over with. Then you kill him and you move on. Like, that's my one gripe. The game plays beautifully, but it loses that dark, oppressive, gothic atmosphere. It's like it looks gothic, but it's not gothic.
It's World of Warcraft.
It does. It feels like a gothic World of Warcraft, or World of Warcraft with a bit of a gothic feel to it. It's still kind of cheesy and Michael Bay-y. Like there's some, the cutscenes look amazing though. Okay. You know Blizzard. They got like they rival Pixar. Like they've got like some fight scenes that are done all cool in their CG. Those are fun just to watch for themselves. Even if the story and the overall feel is very different. That's one thing. Those were the highlights for me. I'm like, oh, this looks friggin' amazing. So, yeah, it's a mixed bag. It's a game I both love and hate because I love the Diablo series, but what it did with the storytelling really hurts. But at the same time, I do feel it's still a solid game.
You had fun with it. That's what
have fun with it. Although, warning, the community is toxic.
Well, that's most communities now.
No. You ask a question and they're like, stop trolling.
Really?
Like, I was like, okay, fine. I'm not going to ask any questions. I tried asking some newbie questions, and I got told, "Oh, you just want us to complain. This is this the answer you wanted?" And I'm like, okay, I didn't know this was a common complaint. I'm just asking a question. I just want to clarification. So I guess they're all really touchy because there've been a lot of the same sort of questions or something. I don't know, but
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, that's what I've been playing.
Interesting.
It's made me want. Actually, there's a few games I wanted for the PS4, but this is another one because the PS4 version one is still supported and runs at 1080p 60 frames per second.
Okay, that's excellent.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, so if this is one more reason for me to actually get the PS4 version eventually. But fingers crossed, Switch. Fingers crossed, Switch.
Oh, maybe
Diablo on the go.
Because I do want to see Nintendo come back.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So, I'm not the only person, obviously, who's been playing games. I understand that you, from time to time, do like to play games as well.
Sometimes, but my neighbor has been playing a really good game lately called Super Mario Brothers, and he invited me over a few times to play it.
Super Mario Brothers, is that new? I've never heard of this game.
I think it's for the Coleco console.
Oh, right. The Coleco 2600.
The Coleco 20... Yeah, I think that's it. Coleco... Yeah. I was going to say ColecoVision to mix in television.
It's like one of those things where you're trying to mess it up. It's kind of like that episode of Family Guy. What's your name? P. Tier Griffin? Oh! You know which one I'm talking? Okay.
Yeah, okay. I remember that episode. I just hate that show, but yeah, that was good. So yes, I've been giving my Mega Drive some love lately. I love the Mega Drive. Mega Drive is probably one of my favoriteest consoles of all time.
Why don't you marry it?
Because I've already married my Nintendo 64.
Oh.
But don't tell her. Sorry. No. But no, one of my absolute favorite games of all time, I've been playing it recently, it has been Alien Soldier. I absolutely love Alien Soldier. I've mentioned it before. And it's kind of like a run and gun shooter by Treasure. They're famous now because of like their very quirky style of games went on.
Yeah, what else have they made?
Gunstar Heroes.
Okay.
They made Ikaruga.
Okay.
Sin and Punishment.
Oh, yeah, there's a... Well, I'm not sure if anyone will know. Well, the people might know that one.
Mischief Makers.
Don't think anyone's going to know that one.
Bangai-O.
I think we're getting more obscure.
Well, anyways, they have a reputation. They make very high quality games. Guardian Heroes. Sega Saturn.
Okay.
The beat 'em up RPG.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. So they have a track record of making very high quality games. However, while they're high quality, they make their games in such a way that they don't appeal to everybody. They are very one-way street kind of a deal. Even Alien Soldier is like this. It's a game many people hate. It's a game many people love. and it's a platform. I want to say platform, but it's kind of like a platform fighting shooting game.
It's like we actually mentioned last time. You know, when I was talking about the difference between like Dark Souls and like some other third person game. You know,
Yeah.
it plays like a platformer in this case here.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Out of This World. You know, Out of This World was a platformer, but wasn't really a platformer. It was a kind of a puzzle game.
Exactly. Alien Soldier kind of falls in that line of it looks like a platformer, it looks like a shooter. It's none of that. It's a methodical thinking shooting game that pushes the player to limits and gets them to think outside the box.
It's Mahjong.
It's Mahjong. Exactly that. Show over. So basically in this game, you're this Birdman that runs around in space and shoots like energy blasts out of his hands and junk, and it's pretty awesome. And you get different weapons. You could hold up to 4 weapons at a time. You can actually pick them at the start of the game.
Okay.
And you get all sorts of different moves. You get a move where you jump up in the air and you could actually hover there so you keep yourself locked in position.
Okay.
You could change your firing mode so you could move and strafe while shooting, or you could shoot in all 8 directions. You have limited ammo with each type of weapon too.
Oh, okay.
And you also get a special move where you hold down and push jump, kind of like a dash.
Okay.
And you fly through all the enemies to the other side unharmed. So you could pass through harm's way.
Does it hurt the enemies?
I'm about to get to that.
Okay.
You could pass through harm's way to avoid a lot of, crap happening everywhere. If you have maximum health, it also gives you a special ability where you actually just smash through everything like in a burst of energy and you kill everything in its path. But it drains a bit of health when you use it, so you can't just spam it over and over.
Okay.
And to complement this, there's an extra move you get too, where if you tap the fire button, which is even awesome considering you could even use this when you have no ammo left. If you tap the fire button, you kind of spawn a ball of energy in front of you that turns enemy projectiles into health.
Oh.
So you could actually turn their health into, you could turn their fire into health and then just spam more of the flying across the screen attack.
Okay.
So you're probably wondering, well, that's just easy. You're just going to fly through the entire game. The thing is, it's not a platformer. There is platforming segments, but it's not a platformer because most of the game is boss fights.
Also, I might be remembering wrong, but can you jump on the ceiling?
Yes, that's right. Sorry, I forgot. You can jump on the ceiling. You can run across the ceiling. It is absolutely cool.
That's right. 'Cause I remember that. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's not just platforming. You could also jump up and you're up on
Yeah.
the ceiling and stuff as well. So the movement in this game is fantastic.
And it gives you so many options to do whatever. Even the different weapons have different like properties, like how some enemies are weak to this and some enemies are weak to this. The game gives you a whole arsenal of things. You have to use everything in this entire game to get through it. If you can't think or come up with a way to destroy the boss, there's also a time limit.
Oh.
But anyways, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. The game is mostly boss fights.
Well, 'cause I think it kind of leads into the topic.
Yeah.
Bosses.
So the game is mostly boss fights with, short 10-second side-scrolling segments in between the bosses to kill enemies that are popcorn enemies to regain your health for the next fight, kind of a deal. So it's just boss after boss after boss, and each boss is completely unique. There's over 25 bosses in the game. Actually, it was even in Guinness World Records for most bosses in a video game.
Really?
At one point, I don't know if it's been beaten yet, but yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Indeed. So it's just a huge boss rush, and each boss you have to approach a completely different way. And if you don't know how to approach that boss, you're done. So, there's certain bosses where you have to... Well, the basic, we'll just start off with basic. First boss, you just simply fly through it. It's like a tutorial.
Okay.
You have full health, you blow through it, it kills in one hit. Later bosses, you can't do that because there's like pits everywhere, and if you do that, you fly in the pit, you're dead. You have to think of something else. You have to maybe wait until it fires, jump up on the ceiling, shoot at a certain angle, or maybe it'll fly around, whatever, and you'll have to hit it with the attack while it's flying towards you. So you have to
Okay, so yeah,
you have to play chicken with it.
You're learning the patterns. Yeah, I could see why you made the comparison last week to Dark Souls.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what it sounds like.
Exactly. If you don't know how to approach it, you're dead. If you decide to cheese the game and just sit somewhere and just slowly dwindle at the boss's health, you're dead because there's a time limit. And it's not strict enough that it's a pain. It's strict enough to basically tell you to get better. You're not doing it good enough, try it again. It's not annoying. It's not strict in the way that, oh, there's a time limit, I have to constantly watch it because if I'm not quick enough, I'm dead. It's just to punish you for sucking.
Okay, so yeah, that's cool. It's fair. Yeah, like
it's a very fair game, but you have to know the rules.
That sounds cool. And can you think of another game that you could compare it to, or is it pretty unique on its own?
It's actually pretty unique on its own. I can't really think of anything else. Like, I compared it to Dark Souls because you have to know how to approach things correctly, but it's more of a boss rush.
Yeah,
you don't die immediately.
Yeah, it's like it's similar in, we'll say, the mentality, but not in the way it plays.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's
And when did actually I can't remember, when did you first play this game?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's what I want to talk about. I first played this game when I was a kid. We had an emulator and all these I know. I'm such a bad guy playing this game in an emulator for so many years before I actually bought a copy, so haha. So when I was a kid, I was browsing through these ROMs, and I had just played Gunstar Heroes for my first time, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is the greatest game ever. It's a run-gun shooter, 2-player co-op, it's the greatest. Alien Soldier is very similar in feel, I guess. But when I came across Alien Soldier and I played it the first time, it absolutely grabbed my attention. There were just, like, the whole entire weapon selecting thing, the whole array of moves you could do, just the setting and everything, the space setting with the aliens and the psychic energy shooting everyone drug. It was so cool. But the game really kicked my rear. It took me weeks to be able to beat the first boss because I was dumb at the time and I didn't get the game. You know? I didn't know that you had to take advantage of absolutely every single move. I didn't know each enemy was weak to certain things. I didn't know each boss had a certain weak point you have to aim for. Yeah, I guess my love for the game started then. Like, as soon as I beat that first boss for my first time, it was like, oh my goodness, I just did this. Yeah, what?
The light turned on.
The light turned on, and then I start wrecking the next boss and the next boss, and it just started getting, like, really smooth. You just go from one boss to the next, and then eventually you hit that wall where you die over and over and over again, and then when you beat him, it's like the most exhilarating feeling. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm getting so far in the game.
Yeah, it was like Monster Hunter, you know?
Exactly.
You hit that wall and you're like, I gotta learn how to do this.
It is a very punishing game, but when you do get through, it is amazing.
So have you beaten it?
No, actually I have not. After all these
it?
years, I've played on and off, mind you, not constantly, since late elementary school, early high school.
Oh, okay.
So like over 10 years. I should have had beaten it by now if I played it constantly, but you know, it's a game I pull out once in a while. It's not a game you could just play. You have to sit down, think about it, and think of strategies and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's a very methodical game.
But it plays like a total action game.
It plays like a total action game.
I remember trying it. It's like just an adrenaline rush right from the start. You're just like,
yep.
Whoa, crap! I'm in the action.
Yep. And when you start learning how to take down each boss quickly, it turns into an awesome speedrun game and actually keeps track of your time and everything.
Oh, okay. I have to look this up. I gotta see if I gotta check with some speedruns.
Yeah. Because the trick of the game is actually keeping your health high and then just destroying the boss at the right time and then getting your health back up and just plowing through one boss after another in quick succession. If you can do it, it is such a cool game. I realize not everyone is going to like it. Everyone looks at it as a platformer shooter, and they're instantly turned off because it doesn't play like one. But if you actually put the time into it and learn all the mechanics, it's one of the greatest games of all time, in my opinion. It's easily one of my top 3 favorites.
That's awesome. I'll have to try that. Like, I know sometimes, you know, some of the stuff you've brought out on the show has been kind of, old console, it's not so accessible. But from what I understand, this actually
yes,
you can get this game today. How can you get this game?
Well, you could go on eBay and pay several $100s for a cartridge, which you probably don't want to do. But if you do, if it wasn't released in North America, unfortunately, it is on the Wii Virtual Console now.
Oh, it's on the Wii Virtual
Console?
Console?
On the Wii Virtual Console. That's one way you could get it. It was released in Japan and Europe. You can get the European cartridge for your PAL systems because it was PAL optimized, so it runs at the same speed as the Japanese version. So there's that option for you Europeans out there. Or you could go to Steam because they actually released it on there for a few dollars.
Nice.
Very nice. So it is very accessible to everybody who wants to give it a shot. If you like... Actually, yeah, if you like games like Dark Souls but want a little bit more of that high action feel.
Like an old 2D Mega Drive, you said, right?
Yeah,
like
Mega Drive game.
2D Mega Drive styled game.
Or Sega Genesis.
Style game that feels like a Dark Souls game in space.
Of its time, yeah.
Yeah, the Dark Souls game of its time. I don't know, I think Ghosts and Goblins gets that award.
Ghosts and Goblins is just...
Ghosts and Goblins is the Dark Souls of the NES and around that era. It's dark, it's gloomy, it's got the undead, and you die like that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay. If you want something a little bit different, though. It is
and probably better.
More fun anyways.
Yes.
You'll have more fun with it. Fantastic game. Check it out.
Awesome.
Yeah. One of my favorites. That's Alien Soldier. The game also makes really good use of the Sega Genesis hardware and pulls off some really neat tricks that you wouldn't see at any other game on the system. It doesn't feel like a Genesis game, is basically what I'm saying.
Okay.
Aesthetically wise, it is absolutely amazing.
I'll have to go take a look at that. It's been a while since I've played it, so I don't remember I remember roughly. I remember like a blue wavy background or something. I don't know. Is that on a boss or anything?
Oh, the train fight later on when you're fighting on top of the train?
It might be. I it's been ages since I played it, so I don't really remember. But I remember it looking very distinct.
Because there's trains in space, apparently.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, so I guess that's about it for Alien Soldier. So we're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we're going to probably be talking about stuff.
Yeah.
Stick around.
There's this cool part where the screen's completely pitch black, and you can only light it up by firing your weapon. And depending on what weapon you pick, it's actually a different color to the lighting. It's really cool.
Oh, that is cool.
And you run through a tunnel and junk.
Bazinga. All right, and we are now back with the next segment. Segment.
Ow!
Try that again.
And we are back with the next section of our podcast. Here I am joined with Jason today. Hello, Jason. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic.
Cool. Today we're going to talk about a topic that people don't really talk about in a positive light when it comes to video games. It's not to say we're going to talk about it in a positive light either, but money.
Money. What about money?
Money is a thing that is used to buy drugs. I mean...
All right, get out of the bag now.
All right. I was trying not to laugh. I was trying to keep a straight face. Yeah. I'll restart that segment.
Oh, no, that was fine. Oh. Okay, go ahead.
Money is a thing used to buy drugs, guns, groceries, and video games.
Are you a rapper?
So, if you're not interested in buying Flintstone vitamins, you're probably going to buy groceries. Did I do good?
You did good.
Okay, good. All right.
Right. So yeah, we use money to purchase all kinds of things, including video games, which tends to be our, we'll say, hobby of choice here.
Yeah. We like video games, and we pay a lot of money for video games. However, nowadays everyone's kind of complaining about like DLC and buying a game for $60 and not getting the full game with your $60. You have to buy the rest of the game later.
Yeah, I've seen that argument a lot online, and we were actually originally going to come on here and just start ranting about that, be like, oh, these people, they're selling us incomplete games, and now we got to like pay for the game's endings and stuff like that because they ship incomplete.
And you know what? We sat down, we thought about it, we tried to think of one game that did this,
and we came up empty.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because I tend to be a little bit behind the curve. You know, I pick up a lot of Game of the Year edition type stuff, so I have all the DLC. But even the games I have that I don't have all the DLC for, I don't really feel, for the most part, that they're incomplete experiences. There might be some stuff that I feel would have been like really cool to have, but it doesn't. It's not. It doesn't actually like diminish from the game for the most part.
Yeah.
Like there might be an example out there that I can't think of. There might be some examples, but I think with how widespread this opinion is and how few examples we can actually think of, I think it might be a little bit unwarranted.
I agree. Like, even sure, like you mentioned the whole entire incompleteness and the ending thing. Like Mass Effect 3, they eventually made a new ending, right?
Yeah.
That was free.
Yeah.
They did that for free to please the fans.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know what the point of that was, but yes, it was good. It was a good thing. They done good. Good job, EA.
Yay!
Or BioWare. Or
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! So it's not always a bad thing. Like, I think people just get angry too easily at the littlest things. They buy their video game, they expect it always to be perfect.
And it makes me wonder: is it a holdover from like the days where they couldn't add stuff to the games?
Maybe, because you buy an old game like for the Nintendo 64 and you find glitches all over and you'd exploit them to get to the end of the game, but there were no patches, you know?
Yeah. So they couldn't add any stuff. So, you know, stuff that, because I remember, what was it? If I recall correctly, the GameCube version, Wind Waker.
Okay.
If I recall correctly, it had an entire dungeon that was cut out of the game.
Really?
Yeah. And I think in a modern day, a game like that would have likely had the dungeon completed up and then maybe sold as DLC.
Yeah.
But back in the day, we weren't even aware of what we were missing. What was left on the cutting room floor?
That is actually a perfect example. Because now that we actually do know, we do get angry. But we didn't know then, so we didn't care.
Yeah, and even though what I said was maybe just one example, and there's no guarantee Nintendo would have even done that, because, you know, they re-released Wind Waker on the Wii U, and I still don't think we got that dungeon, but the fact of the matter is, you know, that's Nintendo. You know, there's nothing to say that another company wouldn't have handled it differently, and, you know, there might have been more examples of that in the past where they're like, oh, we want this in the game. Well, we can't make it happen, but now they can. But now we get ticked off with them for wanting to charge us more for it.
Exactly. Like, why should we pay people for putting extra work beyond what we already got?
Yeah, because for the most part, the games are completely enjoyable.
Exactly.
So it was strange because we were thinking about this segment, and I think we were both ready to like get our hate on.
We were. I was. Well, this is what, our second time trying to record this?
Third time, yeah.
Yeah, third time. We already went through recording this, and then we sat there and completely drew a blank and looked like total idiots.
Yeah, we're like, wait a minute, what is an example of a game that's done this? And, you know, you mentioned Mass Effect 3, and there was a character and a small storyline that was sold as DLC that I feel was a core part of the story. But even without that, I played through Mass Effect 3. I enjoyed it just fine. Everything made sense. I didn't feel like anything was missing.
I watched people play it, and I was just fine, and I wasn't missing anything.
I missed nothing by not playing it. No, Mass Effect 3 is actually really great.
I really want to play those games, actually. They do look really good.
But, so yeah, I guess we're kind of winging. Well, we're always winging everything, but now we're winging things even more so because we didn't really have an outline. Yeah. Like, we were ready to hate on this, and we destroyed our own argument before the show started.
And you know what? It's kind of hypocritical, too, that we get angry at this sort of thing nowadays. Because back in the 80s, every time we wanted to play a game, we had to feed money into a machine.
Well, not if you had a console, man.
Oh, yeah, if you had a console, yeah. But, you know, each game was still $60 for 30 minutes of gameplay.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. With the arcades, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because, you know, they're more off the arcades. But if you want to play the arcade games, you had to insert your money. And if you wanted to continue after you died, you insert more money.
Yeah, you kept going. And it's the same thing we crap on about, like, phone games, mobile games. Now, you could make the argument that phone games are not as good.
Oh, they're not.
but they also let you, most of the time, play for free to start.
Yeah.
So you're only paying if you are enjoying what you're doing.
And you know what that's comparable to? A demo.
Yeah.
It's just a demo.
You got a demo. If you want to play more of the full version, go ahead and put your money in there.
Exactly. So I don't really see anything wrong with that either.
Yeah, I was ready to tear into this, but
Yeah, I think people are just overreacting. Like, even we overreacted. We bought it.
yeah,
We bought into this until we actually sat down and thought, wait a minute. They're wrong.
yeah. Now there are some examples.
Oh, of course, not everyone's innocent.
Exactly. Like, I know the, what was it? But actually, this is a decent example. I think it was the new Halo. Did you hear about the new Halo? It has some, multiplayer microtransactions and stuff, right?
Okay, yeah.
For different, like, items and stuff like that.
Sure.
And, you're paying full price for the game, and then you get these microtransactions.
Yeah.
And, I hear this, and I'm going, well, there we go. Our good, our complete games are over.
But you don't need to buy that.
One, you don't need to buy it. But two, even if you do, if I'm remembering correctly, they said that they were going to be giving the maps and stuff for free. So technically, instead of buying a map pack, if they're sustaining their further development through the microtransactions, so it's kind of like
you're just buying something for yourself.
Yeah.
Your character. If you want to pay money to get an advantage, okay. Like, you paid money. That's not my business. Maybe it's sad that you'll have an advantage over someone with actual skill, but hey.
And I don't want to get political here, but I think maybe some of the argument comes from, well, if person A is spending a bunch of money on microtransactions, and that's going to it's not Bungie anymore, sorry, 343, is going to them, and they're using that to make like another map or something like that. Well, then that means I'm paying for someone else to get the maps, and then you have that whole, socialism, communism bad, where people are supporting others.
That selfish mentality.
Yeah, but in a way, it's like, well, think about this. It's a multiplayer game. Would you rather have your player base be segmented? Would you rather not have anyone to play with?
Exactly.
You benefit from helping someone else out. So even that, I'm having a hard time faulting. Now, if they were charging for map packs as well, and stuff like that, then I might have been a little bit.
Actually, I think the Call of Duties did do that.
Did they?
I think so.
Okay, so
there is, I guess, yeah.
But did they have microtransactions? No, they just charged for the map packs.
I heard about it. I haven't actually looked too much into it. People complain to me about it. I don't play Call of Duty. So
I think there's sort of that sort of balance. Now, for me personally, I would rather just pay for a game one time. I would rather pay like $100 for a game. $100 for a game if I just got to just play it.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of buying a game for cheaper and then having to pay money ongoing, because I don't know, that's annoying to me. I just want to be able to pay for the game and get it. And maybe I'm a little old school in that sense, but it's strange because I have that mentality even with phones. I refuse to spend money on phone games, but I love arcades.
Yeah,
I would love to sit there with an arcade machine and just feed quarters in.
Exactly.
So I don't know. Maybe it's just the framing. I don't know. It's.
I guess it's kind of like the mentality behind on the developer side, because Counter-Strike. Let's look at Counter-Strike and the whole entire weapon skin thing.
That's right. You mentioned that earlier. Yeah,
I did. You could buy the weapon skins, whatever. They're making a killing off of it. However, they did kind of do something a little bit, lately that kind of.
What did they do?
Didn't sit right with me.
I haven't played CS:GO in a little while. What did they do?
They added spray paints.
Oh, yes, that's right. The limited use sprays. I heard about that.
Yeah. So you buy your spray paint. Well, you can also get them randomly dropped too. Like it's.
Oh, can you?
It's not like super rare. You get them random drops every match.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure you could still buy sprays, limited use. That seems kind of garbage in my opinion. But it's not even on the topic. It was more relevant to the Diablo 3 conversation. I wanted to say that you could get an advantage. You could get an advantage in the game by using the sprays. You spray it on a window, it doesn't show up on the other side of the window, and you can shoot people from the other side of the window without seeing you.
I don't know if they fixed that yet, but I heard about that.
Yeah,
oh,
they didn't. But I can't really fault them for that aspect because it's just an overlooked detail. It wasn't intentional, right?
Yeah.
Which everyone is freaking out over. They really take that game seriously. The game is a huge competitive game.
Yeah.
And I think people take that game way too seriously. But the whole entire limited use thing, that's kind of shady. But you know what? If people buy it, I mean, it is randomly dropped at a higher rate than other items.
So you don't even need to buy it.
Yeah.
You can still get it on your own. And, it's, you could say, well, Steam's swimming in money. They don't need the money. Valve is swimming in money. They don't really need it. But, at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, but they're making money from that. But then that money has to go towards the servers serving these games out to everyone else.
Because it is a buy one-time game. It's a one-time fee game.
Yeah.
They have to keep it up somehow.
Yeah, because I bought CSGO for $15? You think $15 is going to go far in keeping the servers running and everything for CSGO? No. So,
I've bought a few skins even.
Yeah, me too. And it's so strange because my gut reaction is always like, I hate that additional kind of nickel and diming, that kind of monetization. It feels dirty to me. And yet, when I stop and think about it, I go, I can't think of a legitimate reason to really be angry with this.
Yeah, because it's not really forced on you either. It's completely up to the customer's discretion.
Yeah. And
if they want to buy something, they go ahead. If they don't want to buy it, they don't. That's that.
Exactly. So, like, even the skins, it's like, it's nice to have skins, or I like the stat tracks, because I like to know how many kills I've gotten with a gun.
It is a little though, that it's actually required to buy a gun or get a drop or whatever just to be able to keep track of how many times you killed somebody.
Yeah.
I don't like that, but
does it really impact the game in any way?
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
It doesn't really impact it.
Yeah.
So it's a hard case to make. So, but either way, I found that was interesting. I'm walking away today with kind of a very different, we'll say, inner looking sort of mentality. That I'm kind of like,
same here.
I've hated it for so long, but then you stop and think about it and you go, I don't really have any leg to stand on. Like, I know there are examples out there.
Yeah.
There are examples of things done poorly. But for the real majority, like,
at the end, it's like the whole pre-order thing. How people always feel like, oh, I'm getting screwed when they pre-order. And then they fix the game later. But don't pre-order.
Actually, pre-ordering, I think, is the one time where I do have something to get upset about.
Okay.
Is when pre-order bonuses are exclusive to the pre-order.
But do they affect the game in any way?
Sometimes they do.
Okay, now we have something.
Yeah, that there is something that I don't agree with. And that's that it does fall into the topic of monetization, because they put those little carrots there to draw you in. It's bait, because they know you're not going to want to miss out on that chance. You're like, oh crap, if I come back to the game later and I want to get that item, I'll never be able to get it again.
Exactly.
So they're enticing you to go ahead and put the pre-order in and buy the game. And then you can't get that item later. Now, time-limited stuff, okay, I can deal with.
Yeah.
But certain things, if you didn't get it at, like, launch, screw you, you don't get it. And to me, that is the kind of monetization I'm not too happy about. Because it's
the kind that plays on the human psyche.
Yeah, it
takes advantage.
It makes it compels you to impulse buy.
Yeah.
Basically, like I was talking about Diablo 3 before, and I love Tyrael, the Archangel Tyrael. He's awesome. If you bought the collector's edition of Diablo 3 when it first came out, the collector's edition, you could get his wings.
Okay.
So you could have the cool sort of flowy wings. That is the only way to get that item in the game. And I was like, what the crap? And all the wing items that you could get are all, I think almost all of them are all exclusive to like pre-ordered or specific models and stuff like that. And that just ticks me off, because it's like, oh, come on, people. Like, what if the person doesn't have money?
Exactly.
Like, what if they want to get in late? Like, it feels kind of like they've been penalized. Now, this is just a cosmetic item in this case, but there are games that do have functional differences and stuff. So,
yeah, I don't like that.
Okay, well, apparently I've only got enough hard drive space for 83 seconds left.
Oh, great! Let's finish this off. I think we've said what we need to say today.
Yeah, pretty much.
We could talk about people gouging people out of money on secondhand markets later, but.
All right, well, I think that pretty much sums things up. I managed to free up a little bit of disk space so we can finish things off properly without going, okay, thanks, bye. Any final thoughts to add?
No, not really. I came into this pretty upset, but after we actually thought about it, whatever. Yeah,
it's cool.
Whatever.
All right, then. Well, if you have maybe a suggestion for a topic you'd like to hear us discuss, any questions or complaints or whatever, you can go ahead and forward those to Jason at BluScreen.ca. That's BluScreen.ca.
You had a really hard time saying that, didn't you?
I did. It was so hard.
You didn't remember how to spell screen.
No, I did actually. I was like, because I keep getting scared. I'm going to say CS for some reason.
Oh.
But you can also, if you want any other contact information, my YouTube channel, my Twitter, my whatever, you can go to BluScreen.ca. Spelt the same way. I'm not going to spell it again. If you want to get in touch with Derek, you can't.
No. Bye.
Okay. So I'd like to thank you all so much for, well, it's probably one person left, so I'd like to thank you. That's right, you special snowflake. You one individual who's decided to torture himself.
No, come back!
Come back!
No!
Well, we thank you for sticking around as long as you did. And until next time, I would like to ask you all to game on. Bazinga.
Like, why don't chicken breasts have nipples on them?
Chicken. The hell?
You're keeping that in there.
Body massage machine, go!
I love those.
And we're back from the break, and now in the, third, fourth? I don't know. We're in the last segment of the show.
Yeah, I like segments. It's
Yeah.
like when you get an apple pie, you gotta cut it up into segments. And you gotta have the biggest one for yourself, and the rest of the people can have the smaller ones. But your segment had the poison apple in it, so it sucks.
What? Yes. This is the poisoned apple segment of the proverbial apple pie segment of the show.
But it's the sweetest. So.
What? Okay.
Alright, so anyways.
Now we're awaiting the sweet kiss of death.
Oh. So about that monetization, eh?
Right, yes.
Video games and money. They go hand in hand, apparently. I guess. So Jason here wanted to talk about video games and how they're monetized. I think.
Holy crap.
I'm totally going so fast. Okay, let's restart this.
All right, and we're back with the final segment of the show. This segment here will focus.
Is it really a show or is it a talk? Because they don't really see anything. Or is it a listen? I think it's a listen. So the final segment of our listen is about money.
Lots and lots of money.